Hello everyone, welcome to the second milestone for the project Domain Specific Intelligent Chatbot for SMEs using fine-tuned LLMs with RAG, Retrieval Augmented Generation. Okay, so talking about the main components of the solution in this project, talking about the front-end component and the backend component along with the database and LLM and RAG is what are actually the complete components of the solution actually speak for. Talking about the front end, it includes the login and chatbot components for user interaction. It handles authentication via API calls and query submission. Now, talking about the backend, Node.js with Express. It handles HTTP request for file uploads and login for generating answers. Talking about the Fast API, the Fast API manages embedding generation and retrieval responses likely for the integration with the rack system. Talking about the database, uh, it stores the user data and embeddings using schemas like user schema and embedding schema. It acts as a repository for processed data for query matching. Now, talking about the main point of the project, which is LLM and RAG, the LLM generates response based on the queries and retrieved context. Talking about the RAG workflow, it has the embedding generation for the uploaded PDFs and the retrieval of relevant content and passing combined inputs to the LLM. Now, talking about the underlying data structures in our project, the main schemas would be user schema and embedding schema. User schema stores the user credentials, you could say, and also the session data. Talking about the embedding schema, it stores the embeddings for document chunks to facilitate similarity search. Okay. Talking about the text tag used, excuse me. For the front end, we are using React for building the UI components. Talking about the back end, Node.js plus Express.js for middleware handling and API routing. For we are using Fast API as I mentioned earlier for embedding generation and also for the RAG logic as well. Talking about the database, we have MongoDB for user data and embedding storage. The LLM, which we are working with the Hugging Face to get to retrieve the LLM from. The fine-tuned LLM is hosted on Hugging Face or on a private server, but instead we have already focused deploying our model on the Hugging Face of the Llama 3 8 billion parameter model. A search engine, which is a FIAS search engine for effective similarity searches. Talking about the different types of the roles in our application, main thing would be a user. The user uploads domain specific PDF with interacts with the chatbot in the future. Talking about the front end developer, the front end developer mainly builds a UI for login and chatbot functionality. Talking about the backend developer mainly manages API logic, embedding processing, and also the RAG pipeline. Talking about the AI engineer fine tunes the model and optimizes the RAG workflows, you can say. And what are the various interfaces that have to be developed? One thing would be this post API upload PDF, receives PDF for text extraction and embedding generation. Login API would be this thing. This login API authenticates users and initiates sessions. The answer API, with the route of get API answer, it handles user queries, retrieves relevant context, and returns generated responses. Talking about the data sets, we have already fine-tuned the base model and uploaded it on Hugging Face. So the data sets, you can say the domain-specific PDFs uploaded by the user, one thing, and the second one would be the fine-tuned data set as I mentioned earlier, which is preloaded into the LLM, the Llama 3 model. Second one would be processing. How processing actually does is the PDF is converted into text. The extracted content using tools like a PyMu PDF or PDF Plumber. There are many tools for extracting the content of a PDF and converting into the text. Talking about the embeddings generation is a process where the text is converted into embeddings using models like sentence, word, etc. And the storage. Now the embeddings which are made should be stored in the database, right? So these saved embeddings are, so I mean, stored in the MongoDB, or it can be stored in the vector stores as well. Talking about the input and output screens, the input screen would be a login screen which requires fields for username and password, and then a file drag and drop field so that the user could upload their PDF. Now the chat screen, once the PDF is uploaded, there would be an input box for user queries, and then the display area for chatbot responses. Talking about the clear workflow of this project, how it actually goes. First, the user uploads a PDF via frontend. Now the backend extracts the text, generate embeddings, and stores them in the MongoDB. The user query. The query embeddings generated by the fast API. The fast API makes sure the query embeddings are generated. The embeddings matched against the knowledge base which we use to store our data. The knowledge base is compared with these embeddings for a contextual retrieval. Now the retrieved context plus the query is sent to the LLM for response generation. This generated answer is given back to the user. Now talking about the business logic, one thing would be embedding similarity threshold. It matches user queries to stored embeddings to retrieve relevant context. Fallback handling, the directly query the LLM if no relevant embeddings are found. And the next one would be authentication, which ensures secure access to the chatbot functionality. And these are some of the technical principles as well for the RAG and LLM documentation, which we have used using LangChain as well. And talking about the particular source of information, it could be domain specific literature for fine tuning, and also there are some of the research papers on the RAG. So in this way, the clear and concise explanation of our project can be done. Thank you.